It says we're live, so we must be live. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning, Olaf. How are you?
Always good. A little bit tired, but uh, we can help with that by just watching some interesting content, by checking in how Dev24 runs on day 2. Day 1 was very smooth, thanks to the team in the background, thanks to you, thanks to everyone helping to make it good. Apparently, the audience is quite empty compared to yesterday night, but we'll see. Everything is recorded, so everybody will be able to see everything. Now I'm wondering how many people have gotten the notification that you'll need to leave the theater and come back in to actually see the live stream. So should we try that? If you can show us some emoji or any reaction, then we can see that you actually can see us. Please go ahead and say something. Yeah, apparently we're live.
Yeah.
I see a couple of emojis there. Lots of people seem still to be sleeping. I think if I remember correctly, my coffee is still in the machine, so I gotta pick that up soon. But that's a good problem to have because it's already ready. What was your experience yesterday?
That was wonderful. And we have, that make me think about the sleeping ones, that we have less corpse than last year. Remember when we had this issue where, people leaving the walk adventure directly on stage, just closing the tab, and
Oh yes,
the avatar would be there like a corpse.
yeah, right. We
don't see
had
that around.
somebody. I can't remember who that was, but we had somebody on stage at all the
I think that
time.
was Jamie, maybe.
Could have been Jamie. I don't know. Yeah, somebody was there all the time. Yes. Yeah, we don't have that. Nice, well done, and yeah, it's always better to have live people on stage. Disclaimer: everybody who will step on stage is part of this presentation, just like in real life. So you will see yourself on the stream before you will be kicked out if you don't have anything to do here. But that's just like in real life. If you enter the stage and you say something, you might be kicked from stage. We'll do it in a friendly way, but very firm.
We don't have the choice to be firm or not. It's just like right click and kick out, right?
That's right. Yeah, but we can do it like in a smooth way. Like
Yeah.
you have the choice to click one way or the other. I'm still sharing my screen, so we can't really see each other. Well, we can't see you anyway, but the screen is no longer needed, I guess. Yeah, so I can click very smoothly on the kick button, I guess.
But they wouldn't know, right? It's like you've been kicked out, but smoothly.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, so we have a full day in front of us, and oh yeah, and I see the stream numbers picking up. I don't know how else to communicate to people that they actually need to leave the theater. And we see a couple of people actually asking to be kicked.
They want to try us maybe on the the kick reaction, like they would swarm the stage.
Maybe. Yes, but one way or the other, we have an exciting day in front of us, and we'll cover lots of more content. I can't go without promoting tomorrow, because if you scroll the agenda down all the way at liferay.dev, you will see three items for tomorrow, which is building the unconference agenda and closing the unconference, and nothing in between. Now, what does that mean? If you've ever been at an unconference, that is by design. We meet when the conference opens, then we're going to build the agenda based on your interest, and you can host a question session, a Q&A session. You can host a presentation where you say, hey, look at what we've done. I want to demonstrate that and get your feedback. Like, get to know what could I do better, or isn't that smart? You can totally brag. And then we'll meet again at the end of the day, and we'll see how that unconference worked for you. This is, well, Louis, you have been at an unconference in person, right?
Yeah.
Does that remotely do it justice, or is there anything else that should be said in order to motivate people who have no clue what it is and are wondering why they should come to a place where there is no agenda?
Well, I would. I talked about it yesterday, but I would remind that one of the topic we had during a conference was site initializer, and we saw yesterday we used it a lot. It has been, evolved, I believe, in the right way, because in a site initializer you want to initialize some resources without to write any code. Just build a folder and get the documents and structure you want to be ready to go to your new site. And that was one of the topic. There was a lot of discussion on how to handle that, because people were sharing their story that we needed that, and everybody, at some point built their own site initializer. In the end, it came into the product thanks to the discussions we had, and I hope that we will have the same energy tomorrow, and that those 2 days gave inspiration to to more topics.
Yep. I can attest to that. There's lots of ideas that have been coming and that have resulted in some interesting feedback. So yes, and we've seen some suggestions or some presentations that came from meetings at either Devcon or at the Unconference, and that somebody picked up and said, yeah, we really like the idea, and this is what we've made from it. Good. I see we have Mariella already in the audience, and I would start asking her on stage so that she can prepare herself, and maybe we can talk with each other before we start. And I guess it's the Mariella that we're expecting for the first presentation.
The one.
And indeed it is.
Hi, Mariella.
Hello,
how are you?
Hi, good. And you?
Doing good, doing good.
So yeah, this is I'm a little bit confused as to how it works, but I guess it's just like the same. I just can share my screen and everything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. You walk up to the stage. We are in a UTC. You can share the screen and start talking about Devcon 2023, I guess.
Yeah.
But first, should we? Yeah. How would we?
I'll just give like maybe a little bit of introduction about myself.
Yeah. But wait a second. Like, number one, we still have a little bit of time until the actually scheduled time.
Okay. 2 minutes.
And as our agenda is to the minute.
Okay.
Like some presentations start at 13:01. I would say, yeah, that signals that we really mean it. This is a nerd event anyway, so we might
have to respect that.
Yes, we will need to pay attention to the nitty-gritty details to make it well-rounded for the OCD people.
Good. Perfect. So just let me know then.
So yeah, Mariella, I just we can start introducing you by saying, like, you're the power behind Devcon, behind organizing Devcon. So how do you like the current scenario here, where you had no say in?
I mean, I like it. I like this work. It's very ad hoc to the audience, so I think it fits very well, and I like it. But of course, nothing like an event where you can actually, touch the next person, or you're like in person. So,
Mm.
but I mean,
We've had that yesterday. We've made this
Oh,
approach yesterday, and I still remember who it was, so I can find the video for
nice,
you, where this actually worked really well,
nice,
including the check over to the other video.
nice.
But anyway, time has come, and I'll
Mhm.
hand over to Louis for a proper introduction for you.
Okay.
Yes. So, Marilla, you're part of the global events team at Liferay, responsible for Liferay Devcon 2023, to happen. And you also coordinated the team behind the past 2 editions of the event, taking care of concept, running operations, and agenda building. So, no, you're going to answer all the question, like, are we back in person, like you said, when it is happening, where it is taking place. So, thanks for being here and share all these informations with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. First thing I just want to say is I don't have all the questions yet because we are still in very, very early stages of planning. But let me just go through the presentation that I prepared for you guys. So I'll just share my screen. Okay, let me see if I do it correctly because, yeah, okay. Let me do this, share, and then I'll just do this. And I think, oh, sorry. Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
Sorry.
we can see it.
Okay. Sorry, let me just start from the beginning. Okay, so yes, about DEFCON. I've received many emails actually from many people interested in what's happening and if it's happening next year and what's up, with many events already coming in person in the last actually in this past year. People are very eager to start, to see the people in person and everything, and I know there's a lot of interest around DEFCON. So here is a little bit of the answer. So first, a little bit of an overview from last year. As many of you know, if you were there, we had a fully virtual DEFCON with live moderation from our very own Olaf. And then we also have Anne Dury from Brazil joining us. So that was fun. There's a recap video. I can show you a little bit of it. It's a little bit long, but just so you know, to get that, to remember a little bit how it was. So let me just see if I can play, if this works. If not, we can just... So I'll stop it there. There. I mean, it's a bit of a longer video, but just to refresh a little bit the memories of how it was the last time. We always try to make these virtual events as most interactive as possible, and also, of course, content interesting for you as well. So that's what we did last year. And then here, just a quick overview of number of registrations we got. So 1,500 around registrations. So that, and then actual people that attended. So we got a 60% attendance rate, which is industry average, a little bit above it. And mainly we had people from Europe joining. And then we had, the number of sessions, hours of content, because we had 2 days of DEFCON. And then, of course, after this event, we always try to get feedback. So we always try to send a survey to know exactly, hear from you, what our people are interested in and what they think about it in general. So this is some of the feedback, some words we got. So basically, many people hoping that Devcon is in person again. Many people is asking if we can have more workshops, more. In general, people just want more and more time for workshops, more time to discuss about everything that you discuss about, and on conference as well, and everything. So I think, and also here with Dev24, there's many of the same topics, and I think it's the same. People appreciate a lot these kind of meetups and having this opportunity to discuss with others. So this is the feedback, and we just want to say we've listened and we hear you, and we know about the needs as well. And that's why it's good for us to know regarding event planning, regarding all of these things. No, so for Devcon 2023, we'll be here officially confirming that we'll be back in person. So we are having a Devcon in person. I don't want to promise anything, but most probably Q2. Here we go. Location, Europe, very broad, I know. Since most of the registrations, people registered we had are from EMEA usually, and the past DevCons we had in EMEA. Next year, we're planning to do it in Europe. There's some places we're searching, but there's nothing fixed yet. I've heard also some feedback from people that want to do it on a sunny destination. So I have my notes on this. So we're still sourcing places, but it's something that we want to announce as soon as possible once we have the place, so we can start inviting people and everything. And then, of course, we will include an unconference day, because I know this is very valuable and very important for you guys. So we will include this as well. Will be a ton of networking, especially since it is an in-person event again. So people need that it's not like in a video. It's just like more casual conversations that you can have when you see people in person. So we're making sure there's a ton of networking opportunities and areas and places that you can have for that. Of course, as well as content and what you usually expect from a DevCon and more, because this is like a coming back, right? So we want to do it like with a bang, right? And as you were mentioning as well, workshops are very important. The time that you invest in it, and the fact that we need to have more workshops. This is something also we have it into consideration for next year. And in general, of course, celebration. We're planning a party night. We're planning, just to have this feeling again of being able to see each other again, and to celebrate the fact that we can, be again together and share this information. And I think in general, even if it's any topic that you have in mind, but being able to just do this face to face, seeing reactions, everything, that's like one of the main things. So just for you to know, this is the fixed thing. So in person, it will be in Europe, and we are most likely to open the call for presentations on Q1. So beginning of next year, you will be for sure getting more information on it. But regarding invitations, once we say, okay, it will be in this place, once we have the venue confirmed, you will be the first ones to know, and the call for papers will be open as well for you to submit anything you are thinking on. And of course, if there's anything from us from an event planning perspective that you need to, you would like us to hear, or you would like us to consider, get in touch with us. Easy, send us an email. We answer all the emails. I'm there getting them. Also, my colleague Melissa, we are like getting a bigger team now. So anything you consider important that we might miss, or something really that you think is really important to have, please let us know. We always like to hear from feedback, because that's one of the main things, and that's one of the biggest things that builds the next event whenever we have to plan event, to know exactly what people are thinking and we want to hear from you, basically. So, I mean, I said a lot without saying something very, very concrete, but the main point is that this will be in person. We also want to include like a hybrid element to it, meaning that if people are used to or enjoy as well watching virtual content, we want to include an element. We want to make sure that it's available for people on demand, that they can also join on demand and they can join live. And then maybe include a part where people can ask questions. The virtual people can ask questions to the speakers as well as the people that are in the audience. So these are the small like newness things that we want to add, the small elements of to make the event even bigger and even more accessible to everyone, especially for the people that won't be able to travel if we do it in person. So yes, I think that's it for me. I don't know how many time I took, but it's a very small session, and it's just mainly if there's an interest of the people as well to know a bit about Devcon, because I know we've had for sure a lot of questions on it. So I don't know if you have any questions now, if we have a little bit of time for questions or
Yeah, we have time. You're perfectly on time. Thanks a lot, Maria. We have reactions, not no questions, but reactions now of Devcon in person. Awesome.
Nice.
For the sunny part, I vote for Italy. I see in the Slack channel. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement. I guess, even though you said like you said a lot, but not concrete. I think you said enough. Like in
Cool.
person and sun is
Nice.
everything we need to hear.
Love it. Party
Yeah,
elements involved, of course.
yeah,
Beer will be involved, like all these nice things that people like to hear from events. So that's
yeah.
for sure. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot. And I think this is the good occasion. We like to, we're building community event here, and to have these little informations ahead of time directly from you. That's very exciting. So we look forward for the COFO papers. I think Olaf and I, we're eager to look at the presentation that you would submit and see where we exactly go in Europe, right?
Yes, exactly. You will find out, and also we will try to make to promote it in the community channels that you have as well. Once we have like more concrete information, so you're also the first ones to know.
And I would like to add, this is the only acceptable answer to, or no, the only acceptable way to say no to the question that would have come otherwise, which is, will DEFCON 2023 be on Work Adventure? So that answer is no, but in the most acceptable way.
Good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the hybrid element, I think it's super important because we're excited to find each other in person, but the agenda is the agenda. Maybe we cannot attend it. It's frustrating, but at least we can be live and somehow with everybody.
Yes, we want to make sure, like an event planning perspective, to make sure also the people that are watching from their homes are also taken care of as well, and they can also voice their concerns, their questions, or anything. So it would be nice to have an element, for example, that speaker finishes session, then they can go to a separate area where they can answer as well questions from people virtually, something like that. We will try to include all of that so that everybody's included, and it keeps being a global event since it became global once we had the pandemic. So we still want to keep it that way to get that engagement from everyone globally. So yes.
Nice. Thanks a lot,
Yes,
Marilla.
sure.
That was very awesome to hear and very
Nice.
good to.
Thank you for
We look
having me.
forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, if any questions, there's an email address, or also you can ask anybody else, and we'll be happy to answer. Any questions, suggestions, feedback, anything, just let us know. We'll be happy to hear.
Yeah, and just shared the YouTube link to the DevCon last year recap, so we can see full length of that.
Nice. Good. So thank you, guys, and enjoy the rest of the sessions.
Thank you, and see you around.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
And I see Madukar in the audience, so if you can step up to the stage so we can present you, and then you present your talk. It would be great. Hello. Can you hear us?
Hope I am audible and visible.
Hello. Nice to see you. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So you have session today for us, which is a payment ecosystem in India, integration with one payment gateway. So it's focused on just dealing with banking, insurance, manufacturing based clients, and yourself. So you joined Liferay in 2019, right? And you
Yes.
have a lot of experience with enterprise application using Java technologies in various domains. And you develop a lot of integration with the XP, with like GMS, other platform like IBM AP Connect, Data Power, at Fresco, and many other endpoints. So thank you for being here with your expertise and present to us something exciting about the payment area.
Thanks, Lois. Thanks for having me. So I guess it's the time. I will be uh, absolutely precise about the time. So I'll just go and start the slide and just. But before that, I just want to give a brief introduction and brief idea about what topic I'm bringing to this conference. So I can see that a lot of people in the audience, but I don't see people who can actually relate to this topic. So I can see there are less number of people from India, but anyway, I can share the link later and they can they can be benefited from this. So
Yeah, and it's streamed and recorded, so we can go back to any time.
yeah.
And a reminder that the agenda page will be updated with the links to the sessions, so
Okay,
it will
great.
go back directly from the agenda to your session in YouTube.
Great. So let me share my screen and then I can jump directly to the topic. So hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
So I'll just start the slideshow. So before that, I just want to think of the next question, which is going to appear on the screen to all the audience. So when we ask how often we use cash to buy something or while paying someone nowadays, so what would be the answer? I mean, here in India, we use UPI, we use payment gateways, we use applications to pay to the tea seller as well. And I hope, I mean, in other region as well, nowadays people are not using cash. So the answer would be oftenly we use, as and when it is necessary. So by keeping this in mind, we can understand how critical nowadays it became that everything needs to be go digital. In fact, in India, we are planning to launch digital currency as well. So I will be covering all these topics in a brief manner. I mean, what currently it is going on in the payment ecosystem industry, and what are the future plans, and how we can achieve all these things. Because if something is related to payment, something is related to money, then obviously security, integrity, and other safe aspects come into the account. So today I will be discussing one payment gateway integration with Liferay. And when I say it Liferay, that means we can integrate it in other Java application as well because the coding is completely Java. So I will be discussing later, and before that, I will be describing some terms, describing some kind of regulatory authorities, which is I guess common in Asia Pacific because I have seen a few payment gateway integration in Middle East, Dubai and Qatar and other Middle East companies. So there also same thing happens. I mean the system is same. Regulatory authority is there. Then payment gateway vendors are there. PSPs are there. Banks are there. So let's briefly discuss about today's agenda. So I will be giving the overview of payment ecosystem, which I have already given, I guess. Then we will be going through these terms, what is PSP, and few of the terms is specifically in India only. It is nowhere related to other countries, other geographical location. But again, you can correlate this to your geographical location, and you can imagine in your way. So I will be discussing RBI, then what is UPI, BBPS, NPCI, payment gateways, and aggregator. Then I will be going through briefly about what is UPI and how it is different from payment gateways and how it is different from PSPs. Then I will be coming back to the solution. I mean, BillDesk is a very simple and very effective way of integrating, payments, online payments to our applications. And these are the few terms like what is callback URL, what is webhook URL, and what is the feature of BillDesk. Then I will be uh, describing about the architecture, how I have developed, how other people have developed the payment integration, and then we can go for the demo. I have just prepared one small generic module which is like plug and play. If you want to integrate BillDesk to your application, you just go to the GitHub, you just go to my repository, you just ask for the ground, ask for the access, and I will be giving you the access. But of course, I will be masking few of the detail like the secret key, client IDs, and password. I will be masking. So, so as we have seen nowadays, payment payment space has been a massive boom. I mean, everybody from top level employer to the bottom level of seller, they are using digital payments because all are having digital mobiles, all are having some kind of devices. So they don't want to keep, their money to their pockets. They want it to be there in their mobile or in their devices. So as we have seen, CAGR rate is 30%. And then if I talk about India specifically, we have UPI, Unified Payment Interface, which has reached to record 22 billion in 2020-21. 2022 data is still not with us. RBI is going to publish that. When I say RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. So, and apart from UPI, what RBI and other organizations, government organizations is bringing, like separate payment for electricity bill, separate payment ecosystem for water bill, separate payment system for house 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 taxes, and then land taxes. So few of the things are like BNPL, buy now pay later. Then we have BBPS, Bharat Bill Payment System. If you know what is Bharat is like India. I mean in Hindi. So I will be moving to the next slide, and I will be giving you some of the statistics. So if you can see in the below section, you can see global cashless transaction volumes in 2020 in USD billion. So as you can see here also, in Asia Pacific, 494 billion USD fund transfer has been done through digital payment system, digital ecosystem. Then we have Africa region, then Europe 229, then Latin America, and US and Canada. And if you can see at the top of the slide, we have these many digital payment systems which is used for different purposes. And you can see how many banks are associated with these payment systems. So for UPI, we have 358 banks in India. This is only for India. So 358 banks have been onboarded to this UPI payment interface, Unified Payment Interface. Then IMPS, Instant Money Payment System. So here, 647 and all. So these are only stats, which is not as relevant as, I mean, our audience, I can see the audience. So let's move to the next slide, and I will be discussing about what is the difference between UPI, payment gateways, and PSPs. So UPI is something like, this is owned by NPCI, I mean National Payments Corporation of India. It's an autonomous government body which regulates and which owns this UPI payment system. And they keep a close eye on each and every transaction. Even if I'm paying something, paying a penny to some other person, that detail is with them. So these things are like they can keep an eye on taxes. They can keep an eye on our income, how much I'm earning, and how much I am paying back to the country. So these things are very easily managed nowadays because we are using digital payment system. Earlier days when we were dealing with the cash, I can keep those cash anywhere in my house below my floor. Nobody is going to find that. So what is the difference between payment gateways and PSPs? So payment gateway like Billdesk, PayU, PayPal. So these are payment gateways, which is completely different from who is behind the back, who is behind the curtain. So obviously, if we talk about payment, money, and all, then the main player is banks. So unless and until I don't have account in the bank, I can't use these payment gateways and these PSPs. So PSPs, like government has authorized these organizations to deal with these digital payments, and payment gateways like technical solution for that. So payment gateways can be owned by anyone, but PSPs needs to be needs to be associated with RBI and regulatory bodies. So these are few terms, few abbreviations which will be used when you go and try to integrate some payment system with Liferay or any other platform. And now I will be focusing on Buildesk. I don't know whether in other geographic location Buildesk is being used or not, but here in India and Middle East and Asia Pacific, we are using it rigorously because it's very easy. It comes with one SDK. You just have to uh, give the reference in your page to that SDK, which is based on JavaScript, and then you have to call few of the APIs for authorization and authentication tokens, and then you can pass your payment information to that API, and then in the backend they will be contacting with the PSPs. Then PSPs will be contacting to the banks, and then NPCI will come into the account, and NPCI will process that money, and from the pay bank account to the from payer bank account to the pay bank account, it will be transferred. So how Builders works? So these are few terms which is used in almost each and every payment gateways. Like if you are using PayPal, if you are using PayU, in fact Visa. So this, if you can see webhook URL, this webhook URL will come into account each and everywhere. This URL is where after payment is successful, the response will be driven to this URL. So this is the webhook URL. We call it callback URL as well. So these are few things which needs to be passed from the API to the payment gateways, and then payment gateway will process the request. It will be successfully transfer the money, or if something goes wrong, then the status will be like there are some errors, or maybe some error will come. So each and everything, status success, status failure, it will come to this webhook URL. So these are few features of Builders which I'm not gonna going to describe in detail. We can find it on Builders website as well. So I will be directly moving to the architecture, how we have achieved this, how we have integrated it. So as you can see, this is the Builders server. If you can see the upper block, then we have this Builders payment details module, and then we have these tables. So what it will do is, from this Builders payment details, we will be initializing the payment, and then we will be sending to the Builder server, and then Builder server will send it back to this model. So here, if you can see, Builder scheduler is there. So this scheduler will run again and again because Builders takes some time to process your payment. It's not like we have sent the request, they have contacted to the NPCI, they have connected to the banks, and then they have connected to the RBI, and then they have given the response. It takes some time. So for customer convenience, customer should not wait for 2 3 minutes and 4 minutes. they will keep your detail with them, and then they will process in the backend. And once the payment is successful, you need to call back their status API, and then they will send you the status whether payment was successfully done or not. So for that, we are running a scheduler which will keep testing whether the last initiated payment is successful or not. And builders has given us the information and guidelines that you have to check a certain payment till 7 days. After 7 days, if you are getting the unsuccessful message or error message, then you can think that this payment has had some error and it was not successful. So this is the kind of flow diagram. I mean, how the data will go and from where it will process and then from where it will come. If we can go and check the architecture, I mean, technical architecture, then from mobile also, I mean, the previous one was web application. In that web application, the scheduler was running and then payment initiation and then status check and everything was happening. From mobile also how we can do that. So for mobile will connect to our Liferay server. Liferay server will connect to builder server. It's not like from mobile directly we will be sending to the builder server. Why? Because we have some kind of webhook URL. So that webhook URL is not present in mobile application. That is in our Liferay server. So for that, we won't be able to directly call it from mobile. So if you can see here, we have created an API. That API will accept the detail from mobile, and then it will keep it within the Liferay portal, Liferay database, and then it will send it to the builder server. It's not like mobile app will directly connect with the builder server. So if we go to the next, then we can have some kind of demo. So what I have done is I have created a general module which is available in the GitHub. If you need, then I can share the link. So I have created this module. So what I have done is I have kept everything in the configuration, system configuration. If you can see, we have client ID, secret ID, callback URL as well, it's configurable, merchant ID and account number. These details you need to get from builders because it's not available. If you are going to use builders, obviously they will be charging some amount of money, right? So these details you will get once you are you have done the pact, you have done the agreement with the builders. They will be giving this, and then they will be giving us the sandbox testing URLs as well. So I have kept this as system configuration, and then you can see I have created one simple text box in this page. Here amount, you need to put the amount, and then you need to click the pay now, and then if you go and see the below thing, then these are the JavaScript methods which will be called once you click the pay now, and these are the main region, I mean main code, which will pop up the builders windows, and then this amount will be appearing over there, and then you can enter your card and all. So this one I have kept it as generic as possible. Obviously there are few details which can't be generic, so I haven't put it. So I have deployed this to one of my server, and I can go and just directly demonstrate how it is coming. So I have kept it on the home page. I have kept a simple text box, and then we will be clicking on the pay now, and then builders will come. So let me just log in with admin credential, and then suppose I want to pay 999 rupees to the associated company or organization, because obviously this is localhost, but this application is owned by someone, right? Whether it is in manufacturing sector, whether it is e-commerce website or something, whatever it is. So once I click on pay now, then in the backend also you can see we have sent some information, and then they have sent us token, and then again we are sending that token. They are verifying, and if the token is matching, then only their pop-up is coming. So we can put our credit card detail, or we can put our net banking detail, or UPI, in fact, unified payment interface. So there will be GPay, Google Pay, then Phone Pay, WhatsApp payment, Amazon Pay, and Paytm as well. maybe most of the people is not aware about Paytm, but Paytm is like leading PSPs in India. So once we enter our UPI address, virtual payment address, and then click on payment, then it will take some time, and then it will come back to this callback URL. So as you can see, I have kept everything in this configuration. So client ID and all these should not be leaked actually. So I can't share this with you because I have taken this for the demonstration purpose. You have to get in a contract with builders for this. So once this payment is successful, you will be coming back to the callback URL, which might be like I have shared it like group slash guest slash response. So once you come back there, they will be sending you the response. In that response, you can get the order ID, which I have generated from here. So that unique order ID, they will be sending back, and then they will be sending the success and unsuccessful response as well. So this is like we have just initiated the payment. We haven't completed the payment. I mean, they haven't processed it completely. If they can process it within this time, I mean, 1 second or 2 seconds, then in this callback URL itself, they will be giving us successful. Otherwise, if it is not successful, then you need to check this until next 7 days, 7 working days, to check whether this payment initiated by me at 5:21 is successful or not. And then you can show your user the customized messages on this page. I have created one page like response, and then I have kept another module. I mean, which is not available here. I mean, for a client, I have done that. So I have kept one other module there, and then in that module, one pop-up will come and say your payment is successful. So this is what I need to show today. And if you can see, I have few references, and then if you have some questions, I'm completely open to answer a few of the questions. So maybe I'll just stop sharing my screen, and if we have some questions, then we can move. Otherwise, we can make the way for the next speaker. Olaf, to you. Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing all of
Thank
that.
you, Louis.
We don't have any questions in the audience on Slack or in the YouTube feed, but
Great.
I have one. Did you try to do this integration, or did you have opportunities to do this integration together with Liferay Commerce?
No, actually, Liferay Commerce, I guess a few of the integration already comes. In 7.4, I have seen in Comex, they have given the options, which is pre-built. But this builders integration, I guess we don't have. I mean, we need to integrate this with the product itself. I mean, the last time when brand came to India, we have shown this demo to him as well. So I don't know what is the progress.
Okay, so
but of course we can include this in the product.
Sure. So yeah, well, as you said, it's like Java application, so it's not only for Liferay, but it could be for
Correct.
Java application integration. So I guess that with a little effort, we could, if needed, integrate this with Commerce and the interfaces we have that are like you showed in the schemas, close to any workflow we have with payments, like getting the answers,
Absolutely.
getting callback URL, and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Just a matter to find the right touch points, right?
Yeah.
Would you be around in the event, or can we maybe we find you on Slack community? But if you're around,
I can be for some time, not an issue.
Okay.
I mean, I can spend on and off. I will be here.
Okay, so I guess like same rule as yesterday. If you have any question to Madhukar, you can stalk him around in Work Adventure, and he would be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's always the Slack community channel where you can write it down, and we engage.
Moreover, we have a blog for this. I mean, in the community. So if you can go and explore, then you can find this on the Liferay community blog as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'll share that link in the
Sure.
Slack as well, so we can
Okay.
easily find that blog post.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for being here, Madhukar.
Thank you. Thank you to the audience. Thank you, Olaf. Thank you, Lois.
And see you around.
I will be leaving the podium now. Otherwise, Olaf will kick me out.
No, that's fine. That's an official step.
I guess I still
initiated.
have a few minutes, right?
No, you're not. You have a few minutes to spare, I guess.
But again, I don't have anything because there is no question, so I can leave. Thank you.
Well, that leaves me for risky experiment. Louis, I don't know if you've seen my message on the back channel here. I have found my streamer account back, and as we're streaming, I would like to get hold of my own avatar, and I have no clue. I've not tested it if the stream continues, if the user who has started the stream leaves the meeting. So now I wonder, should we risk it? Should I leave the stage and see if the stream stops, or would you rather like me to
wait
stay
for the
here?
break? Honestly,
Wait for the break. Okay, then I'll hide back again, and I'll just log out the streamer so that we don't have too many people on stage.
Okay.
I'll just take the lead. Thank you.
Okay, so during the break, I'll just start with the other user, and
Yeah.
we won't do high risk coward during the meeting. Okay, then I'll hand back to you.
Thanks, Olaf. And thanks, Madhukar, for
Thank you,
doing
Luis.
that. Try
Thank
to
you all.
find your blog posts. If you can share.
I'll share the link.
Okay. And I guess that if Chema, you're ready to step up to the stage, you can come and we'll start discussing before your session. Hi, Chema.
Hi, how are you?
Hey again, I would say. How are you?
Fine, fine. Are you tired for all of this event?
No, we not tired. We're excited to have this event and to host it and to engage with people and have
Sure.
those many topics.
Thank you for this event.
And thank you for being here.
Well, okay.
Yeah. So
My
just for
2
people to
cents.
know, Chema and I are sales engineer at Liferay, so we work closely together, and our day-to-day life is to build demos, right, and to show some demos. And one of the frustration is to start over and over.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
we need something to automate it, building some resources that we need, obviously, for demos. Sometimes you need some data, some structures, some documents, and it's always a hassle to initiate that. So we're glad that we have site initializers now, and this is something we will explore with you. So without further ado, I will let you start your talk anytime.
Perfect. Glad that you say that about Site Initializer. Let me share my screen. I begin the presentation.
We can see the screen. Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, so the wonderful world of Site Initializer. The first thing is that I think it could be interesting because there are not so much documentation about site initializers. This is a presentation that I prepared with Jeff. I think Jeff is here too. He is one of our solution architect of commerce, but he's doing different things here in Liferay. we prepare this for partners, but of course for our community is even more important to show these capabilities, these tips, even more when there are not much documentation. We will explain why there are not much documentation. Okay, the subtitle is create complete sites in seconds. We will see what this means. So looking for what we are going to see during the next 30 minutes, the first thing that we are going to look at is some context about the site initializer. Why sites initializer? Then we will see what is a site initializer. Maybe some of you already know what is this. It's kind of new, but could be an evolution of something that we had in the past. Then we will see how can we build those site initializers and the future of site initializer. The presentation, the structure of this presentation is very simple. We are going to speak about the needs, the problems that we can have, or aims, solutions, how to do it, and then roadmap, the future, or how are we evolving this feature. Okay, so you are not going to get lost. It's really easy. Instead of try to add a lot of code in this presentation, I thought that it was a better idea to focus on the slides, because we are going to share these slides. So it could be like documentation for you. You will be able to get all of this information I use for your own projects. So I think it's like that. That's why I don't want to show any code. I have my environment. I'm not lying. I have my environment, but I think it's enough to see what I'm going to show you. Okay, the first thing is why site initializer. Let me give you some context about it. As you know, Liferay is almost 20 years. We are 20 years of history, and always Liferay was and is an interrelated hierarchy of components. As you know, we have our web contents, documents, and different things in order to build a page, a group, a site, a company, an instance. So we always have this need. We need to create sites in a fast way. We need to have any tool in order to don't do the same thing different times, and create in a fast way and ready to use. Don't you think? So as you know, we have different user interface options. You know, Lars sometimes would be very helpful. We can use to export and import sites, complete sites. But it's true that we have a version dependency with Lars, and not always works as expected. So we can have some bugs, we can fix them. But it's true that we need to have the same version when I exporting and importing a different environment. We need to have the same version, the same feedback, or even the same hotfix sometimes. So it's a really good tool, but sometimes we need more. We have the site templates, which are awesome. You can create your own site, and after that, you can create the same sites just with 2 clicks. But it's per installation. So you need to create the site, the complete site, as a template, because if you create the site, you cannot create the template. You need to create the template after that. So it's per installation. Maybe it's true that you can copy the database, but no, we don't always have the chance to do that. So it's a good tool too, but we need more. Okay, until 7.3, we had something very similar to the site initializers. We had the resource importer. Remember the resource importer The objective was to package web content, portlet and configuration, and layouts together, everything in a theme, in a Liferay theme. So we could do that, but still we need some kind of evolving. So now we have a new option. New option. It's not new. It's something that is from the past, but now is better. It's simpler, with version flexibility and extendable. If you remember why it's not new, if you remember since 7.1, we had different themes like Fjord, like Polygon, like Westeros Bank, and we had site initializer. You had to create those themes, but the complete site was initialized. So you have the complete site, but with that theme. You were tied to that theme. And for commerce, for example, in 7.12, we had the Speedwell and the Minion. We already have in our 7.4 version. But it was something similar, like site initializer, but it was something internal for Liferay. You can always check the code and copy and paste that code and do your source, of course, as you do. But it was something for us. And of course, we needed another choice because we are still need to overcome version as site scope dependency. Think that those site initializer were just for sites. We need to overcome that. We had new challenges. We have new features as object and remote apps, as you know, and those features are at company level. So we need something new or something that evolved enough to provide us the capabilities that we need. So what is a site initializer? Site initializer is the capability to create complete websites in Liferay quickly and easily. As you know, with the 7.4 version, you can create a site and you will see that you have different site templates. It's like similar site templates, but it's going to create tools outside the site in a company level. As you know, we have the masterclass, dev.life, D2C, dev.life, agent portal. We have different site initializers. With those site initializers, when you are going to create the site, you can select masterclass and you will have the complete site in not much time. So site initializer is an accelerator that sets up a working site quickly and easily by providing a pre-configured site template with a hierarchy of components, theme, settings, and so on. So you can check all of this in our 7.4 version, and you can create a complete masterclass, a complete dev.life. We already have Minion and Speedwell. You can download from our portal master in GitHub all the site initializers that we have in the product. For example, Liferay Learn or Team Extranet are from there. You are not going to see in when you download your 7.4 version, but you can download the code, compile, deploy, and you will see all of those sites initialized. But as you can see, we have more capabilities. We have at company level different things that we can create. We have objects, remote apps, service access policies, and is less tight than a fixpack or a hotfix. So I think is awesome. It's great, and it's going to help us a lot. Said by me, is like 2 clicks to create a complete site. But of course, as always in Liferay, there is an asterisk once the site initializer is created. Of course, we need to create that site initializer. But the idea of the site initializer, we will see later on how to create those site initializers. You can figure it out. That is like create different folders, different files, but you will see that it's really easy. The idea is to create those relations between the different assets. But now, integration with commerce, layout and fragments, with our content pages, documents and media, objects. So with a full stack of components that we can use in our product, in Liferay. For example, in this animation, the image that you are seeing, there is a complete applications, in this case, in real life, based on an insurance demo, but you can add, you have different forms, you can send information, get information from the APIs, and all of this using just documents that we have in the documents and media in our document management, and that's it. It's a React application that we have in the site initializer of real life. You just need to click, create this real life D2C, and you will see that we have a React application inside our portal. And the code is a file of the documents and media, which is really awesome. Okay, speaking about code, the developer can define all the resources and the relations between them. As you can see here in a visual code, we have different folders. We can create our own folders, our JSON files, and we need to define following some kind of patterns that I would tell you how to follow those patterns. But we have a lot of assets that we can use. There are more than 40 assets, or the current scope is more than 40 assets, like roles, like journal articles, permissions. You have a lot of options to use in the site initializers. Of course, we are evolving this tool, and we are going to extend that functionality in order to provide even more scope. We are getting feedback. It's important, always is important to use feedback in order to create more or evolve this functionality. And of course, as always in Liferay, you can implement your own site initializer. Okay, if it's not just implement, I can create my site initializer, but also you can implement the class, the interface of site initializer, create your own tools. So if you need a new feature, you need another pattern, or you create your own entities and you want to extend this capability, you can do it. And you can do it following how we are doing in our GitHub, in Liferay portal, modules, apps, site initializer. And we have the site initializer standard. At the end, we create different tools, different code in order to help with that creation of the site initializer. So you can use what we created, or you can create by your own, whatever you want. The main benefits of all of this: we can build demos in record time. Demos, POC, as you know, in our projects, day by day, we need to create that, to present a product. So you are going to avoid to begin from scratch. The other use is that we can reuse components and resources. You are not beginning a project from scratch. And of course, you can have a site initializer with all the options that you can use in that project. For example, designs, page and contents, different fragments, and you just need to deploy this small module, and you will have all the information that you want. For example, you can have one page for each kind of tool or that you use in your projects. So you just need to deploy and create the site initializer. We can have like repository of best practices, like reuse the components, or create sites, an example of repository of best practices. If you have a team and in your team you want to standardize something, we can use it for that. And of course, for tests, for workshops, courses, If we have different environments in a project, dev, UAT, you can use the site initializer as the starting of a project. Okay, the important thing, how to build sites initializer. As you can see, is really easy. You just need to create a folder and begin to build your site initializer. First thing that you need is create a workspace, your own developer workspace, with Blade, with the thing that you are using. Create the project structure. Is a folder. You will see that is a folder and a file. And after that, review documentation. As we don't have documentation, because it's evolving very fast, that's why we are not providing an official documentation. That could be one of the whys we are not providing the official documentation, because we are evolving this tool. Even you will see in the roadmap that we are going to evolve it in order to have to be a client extension. So we will be able to deploy in a SaaS environment. Then review documentation, that is our GitHub, where we are having all of the sites initializer. You can review all the code, you can review all the folders, all the components, add your own components, deploy, and that's it. You will be able to see your site initializer when you are going to create a new site. Each step, the detail of each step is, first one, create a workspace. As I said, you can download from Liferay portal the complete project, the complete portal master, the complete Liferay portal. And if you have experience, you can compile everything, or if not, you can compile and you can add your own code in the site initializers. If not, you can create your own project with Blade, for example, with our command line interface. You can create your own project. It's really easy to install Blade, one command, another command to create your workspace, and then create your folder, and that's it. It's really easy. Or your own choice. You can use Visual Code, you can use your Eclipse, or even your IntelliJ. To create the project structure, as you can see, you just need to create a new folder, for example, called Hello World. I think we never use that name, or site initializer Hello World. Create a BND file with bundle name, symbolic name, version, site initializer name, capability. This is the important one, the capability, liferay.site.initializer, and web context path, and create the next structure, that is source, main, resources, site initializer. And with that, we already have our site initializer. We can deploy it, and you will see the site initializer. Of course, it's going to be empty. If we create a site with this structure, this is going to create an empty site. That's it. But as you can see, it's really easy to create. Documentation. And as said before, in GitHub, you have all the site initializer that we created. I recommend you to look information more in masterclass or real life D2C that the site initializer team create in order to begin to evolve this capability, this site initializer. So if you find something there, is fine. If not, the other ones are good too. But the team of site initializer that create this tool is working in those site initializers. And that's it. Download the source code and review all the information that we have about sites initializer. After that, you need to add your components. As you can see here, we have site initializer real life D2C, and we have options to add commerce catalogs. You can see structures, documents, how we manage the layouts here, all the JSON files, the patterns that we are following. So it's really easy to copy and paste in your page. Okay. And as said before, too, we have more than 40 assets to add in our site initializer. For example, if we want to add an object, we just need to create a folder, object definition, create a file, hello world.json, and here after site initializer folder, add this code. Okay, label, name, object fields, and with this you will be able to create a site initializer, and the site initializer is going to create this object. So let me show you here. Hopefully you can see my code. This is a workspace created with Blade, and in modules I have my hello world. I just create this source main resources, site initializer. We have different components here. I would like to show you my BND project. Okay, really easy. And object definitions, hello world. I have my object created here. Something like that. After that, we just need to deploy, and that's it. We can create our with Gravel or Blade or which tool we have, any tool that we have to compile, and that's it. We will see in the logs that we are starting this small module. That's it. It's available to use in our platform. You see? Okay, let me give you some tips about it, because it's true that it's not always easy. Yeah, it's not very intuitive to copy and paste and make relations between different assets. For example, the difficult one, to create pages. Sometimes there are JSON files that are not easy to create, but we can use our own platform in order to export information and get that structure. For example, we can create a page. Imagine we don't need to create a complete environment, a complete project. We used to use 4 or 5 kind of or types of pages in our project, so we can create those pages. With that page, we need to create a content page. With the content page, we can add all the fragments, we can add our components, and after that, we will be able to use this tool, that is create a page template based on that content page. You have this button, and with each button, you are going to be able to create that template. And the template could be exported, and you will be able to export into a file. This template, this export is going to give you the page definition.json. That is the hard part of a page, for example, layout. And we just need to adapt the links to the documents or images that we have in that layout. And the other one, the page.json, is really easy to create. So let me show you here. For example, we have our site initializer, layouts. I exported this page definition for a page that I already created, and that's it. I have everything created. I put here layouts with the name of the page. We have all the information here, and we just need to adapt the images or documents that we have here, which is really easy. We know this pattern because we can look for this information in the source code that we have in GitHub. So you will see that it's really easy, and the other one is really easy to create. Okay, and we obtain this information from those Life, site initializer, or from the source code. Another tip, for example, web contents and web content article. For the web content structures, we can export our JSON file, and we can insert in an XML file, like here. Okay, we just create the header, this footer, and we just need to add the file content inside the CData field or attribute. Okay, web content articles. We can export the XML file in our platform, and after that, we need to rename with the article name, adapt the URL links like before, and create our article name, which is really easy to create. It's like as you you are seeing in the screen in this slide. So for our web content articles, we can have this one, but let me show you what I wanted to show you. That is that documents, the documents that I'm referring here are this one. So adding a document is really easy. Documents group, and I have this document, these images here. So these are the images that I'm referring here. Okay. I think here I don't have contents, but you can see in the Ray Life or in the other site initializers that we have in Liferay in GitHub. Another kind of asset. Sometimes there is not option to export information, so there are items that are not exportable, like navigation menu. So just review site initializer examples, copy those files, the data structure, and with that, adding your own page in the navigation menu. But there are some others, like fragments, that you just need to export and copy the exact files in a path in your site initializer. So as you can see, sometimes could be frustrated, sometimes it's more easier, but once you have your site initializer completed, it's really easy to copy that module in different projects and create your projects, your complete projects. Okay, and what is the future of site initializer? Okay, as you know, we are changing our Liferay marketplace. We are adding more things. Now we have two sections. We have the application marketplace. We have the marketplace for solutions. And that's why we are evolving the site initializer. Site initializer could be a solution, a complete solution. Imagine that you have your own internet, you build your own internet in a site initializer. It could be a solution for a company, for when you are selling your product, where you are selling your projects. That's why in the roadmap there are a lot of things, but I think these two things are. I would like to highlight these two things, like the site initializer will be modeled as client extensions. Client extensions are the way to add or to change behaviors in our SaaS product. So you will be able to use it if you are in a project, in a SaaS project, or in an easy way, because client extensions are going to be easier to manage. And of course, you will be able to create site initializer from existing sites with click of a button, because we realize that sometimes you create your site, create a site sometimes takes months or years until you say, okay, this is the site that I want, because it's evolving, this site. And you will be able to click in a button and create your own solution, your own site initializer. And that's it. You don't need to review or gathering information about the site initializer that we created. You don't need to review the code. We are going to do it in an automatic tool. That's why sometimes there are not documentation, because we are evolving and we are trying to do the things easy for you. That's it. 2 key points about site initializer, about your projects. That is about beginning from scratch from every project. That's the key of this, because you are going to reduce time and resources when you are reusing all of these sites. That's it. Thank you to Jeff Handa, because we prepared this presentation together. And that's it. Mm, Nothing else.
Thanks a lot, Chilla.
Guillem, no problem. Happy to
Thanks a
help.
lot. Yeah, that's an interesting topic, definitely. And as I said earlier, and is confirmed in the Slack community, like site initializer used to be something that every project has its own implementation, right? Because I think there's two, big needs we have. First is starting the project, starting the first, site for any project we have, and there's a lot of resources that we
That's
need
it.
to move, from maybe on a dev environment, we create a site, we add pages, we add documents, and then we need to move that to UAT. And then we are like, should we do that manually? And
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
shared, we have like export options that is understandable from the site initializer. So we could imagine now a workflow where we build manually on dev, and then we're happy with the result, and we can export that and add it to a folder, and it's ready to go and be deployed.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good question. And our customers and in the community, we can see that people ask about it, or how to where I can get all my job in a same place and put in another place. Of course, we have tools, we have the large files, we have site templates, but I think this is something more, something that is going to be used even more over that all of
Yeah.
those tools, because it's very helpful.
But we have to put the right expectations with that, because so I was saying
Yeah.
two big needs is starting the project and moving it to another environment. But then we might get the wrong feeling. Site initializer is not a site updaters. It's like, yeah, but if I change my resource, how can I update that with a site that
Yeah.
already be initialized with that site initializer? But that's not to be mistaken with something that
Yeah.
would
That's
do
it.
that, right? It's
That's it. It's not that way to export information and import in another place. It's more like I begin from this. If I see
mm,
that I can add a page and it's interesting to have that page, I can change my site initializer again and create the site initializer, and then I can import in another place. But of course, it's not a way to export data that we are creating day by day.
yeah,
You have, that's why I say that sometimes could be a little bit frustrating at the beginning, because you need to know how to do it. There are some patterns, some names that you need
mm,
to use, but after that you will see that is not very complicated. Maybe you have some limitations for any asset that we are not covering, but
mm,
that's why it's really important, the feedback, because we can evolve depending of the needs that our
mm,
people have.
for
So,
sure.
and
Uh,
moreover, now in 7.4, we are getting a lot of feedback, and we are trying to do all of these things. Don't make me, or I don't want to create big expectations. We are going to see the availability. If we are going to do it, it's not if you say we are going to do it. It's more like,
mm,
okay, this thing can help, then maybe we are going to do it or not. But we are gathering a lot of feedback from the community, from customer phone projects. So
mm.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and the other big needs is for site templates, right? So you started your project, you used maybe the site initializer for the resources, and then you might need like site templates, like for example, if you're building an intranet and you have like community sites within the intranet, and they might want to have a certain template that is not that is more complicated that you can do with site templates within Liferay. And that's the beauty of site initializer, that you can like initialize roles and things on the company level that makes these things more powerful. Like it's like the resource importers and site templates on steroids, right?
That's it. Perfect. You summarize my presentation in one sentence. Yeah,
And we
great.
have a question on have these existing site initializers been fully localized? So I'm guessing that the one we have already built in Liferay, are they localized or not? I hope that the question.
Yes. Yeah. We have the good thing is with that site initializer, we have not only the localization we translate or we have different tools. I think they are in different languages, but the important thing is that you can do it. You can create by yourself your site initializer, and you will see, for example, with master class or Ray Life, how to build a complete site using content pages, for example, and how we are using manage the fragments, how we can design something that is good. That so sometimes if we have any doubts about how to do that or how to use the fragments, I can do this with fragments. You will see in those site initializers that we build how to do it. Or for example, the remote apps, how to translate or how to. But of course, by default, those are in English.
Hmm. I have another question about the company level resources you can initialize. Imagine you have multiple site initializers and they all need like, I don't know, a role to be created. So they have multiple site initializers with the same role defined.
Yeah. Well, good question.
Does it do overrides? How does it detect that the role exists? Does it do that? Or
Yeah,
what?
because our tools, our site initializer is going to review that. If you go to the our classes, you will see how we are managing all of this. Synchronization between the same things. For example, if you created an object application, and then you create another site in the same site initial, you use the same site initializer to create another site, you will see that the object is not going to be created again.
Yeah.
It's just created one time. And for roles, I think it's the same, but of course, in the code, you will see that kind of conflicts how are managed. And I think is not adding, well, maybe for pages, no, but it's a different side. No, but I think if we are managing, if it's created, it's not going to create it again.
Okay, that's
But
good to know.
but we can see in the code. Yeah.
Yeah,
As always,
that
we
might
need
be
to try.
edge cases where
Yeah,
it might not work as expected.
because it's very clear that you can. When I take this JSON about roles, I'm going to take this. I'm going to. What we are doing is to do more easy. That you can create, even all of us can agree that we can create our own code to take a file and take those patterns, different attributes, and begin to call to the APIs, to our framework in Liferay, and so on, to create those roles, for example. But what we created is that tool that is going to do all of this for us, for the developer. So sometimes it's good to see what we are doing instead of try or trying and see what is happening. Sorry.
Talking about roles, do you know if we can apply some permissions by default, for example, on a document folder or some document files or web content?
Yes. I think yes, because we are getting all the attributes that we are exporting from a web folder or a web content article. So I think we can do it.
Okay. Good to know. I don't see any other questions. Would you be around in Walk
Yes.
Adventure for a while? Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
as
I will
usual,
be.
if you have any question, try to stalk Chema. Or if you have other questions, there's a Slack community channel, even Dev24, with a thread created for your topic. So that might
Yep.
have some questions, more questions afterwards on that. Um,
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
thanks, Chema.
Thanks
Thanks
to
a
you.
lot. As I told you, I think your presentation has been on point because we heard a lot about Site Initializer yesterday. So
Great.
it's nice to see the extent of it today with you. So thanks again for being here.
Okay. Happy to help. So thank you, everyone, and have a good session and day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So I'm not sure if Alejandro is in the audience, but if he is, he can step up to the stage so we can prepare. Hey.
Hello.
See you there. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm trying to start my camera. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. We have a bit of
Can you see me
time.
now?
Yes.
Nice, perfect.
So, Alex, you worked at Liferay since 2016, and you're currently team lead of the headless team.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're a very recent father, so congratulations to you.
Yeah.
And today you're not talking about your baby, but you're talking about put your templates at rest, which is a title I was talking about. We are talking about templates, we were talking about REST endpoints, what is going on, and actually you might give us some answers about how we can make powerful templates without the use of service locator and those kind of edgy security stuff. But we need the power of that because we love building like strong templates with a lot of information.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically what I'm gonna talk about in my talk. So we will see service locator and what will replace it in this new SaaS world. So let's get started.
Thank you.
How can I share my screen? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I see
you should
here.
have actions on the bottom.
Toggle a screen share, entire screen.
We can see the screen. Perfect.
Nice. So let's start. I'm gonna switch to the slides I have. So yeah, as we said, this talk is gonna be called "Put Your Templates at Rest" because we're gonna mix templates with REST APIs, and you'll see how next. So first of all, who we are. Okay, we talked about that, so I can skip it. I want to skip this one though because even though I'm giving the talk, I'm part of a bigger team, and well, this is the team, the headless team. Lots of people, 14 people I counted today, and this and all the other talks that you saw yesterday and everything related to headless is thanks to all these people. So here they are, at least their faces. So the topic of the talk is so before this SaaS new SaaS world. So Liferay is trying to move to a SaaS offering, and that has a lot of technical challenges. So one of them is how to allow users to create templates, powerful templates that can query the Liferay data and that can use Liferay data without security risks or anything. So before this SaaS world, we had, amongst other things, we had mainly service locator, which, as I say here, is a variable that you have available in your templates that has to be explicitly enabled. because by default is disabled because it gives you basically access to the whole database, or mostly the whole database. So by default is disabled. You can enable it, and this is more or less how you use it. You need to specify the class of the service you want to use, and then you need to call any of the Java methods that service offers to get the data. So that's basically how you use Service Locator. Very simple, and probably many of you are familiar with it. But what happens in this new SaaS world, in a multi-tenant environment, you cannot enable Service Locator, because if you are servicing several customers from the same Liferay installation through different virtual instances, you cannot give access to Service Locator, because then one customer could get data from other customers. So probably in most multi-tenant deployments outside of Liferay, Service Locator is already disabled, but now for the SaaS offering of Liferay, it's disabled too. So nobody can use Service Locator. Basically, the property is disabled, and is disabled for security reasons because of what I just said. So now what do we do in a multi-tenant world? We are still Liferay users that want to write powerful templates to build our pages. So this is what we are providing to replace, or at least try to replace, some of the things you can do with Service Locator, and it's called REST client. Oops. It's available, if I'm not mistaken, since the GA49, which is a release made a couple of weeks or a month ago, more or less. It's added to, in principle, to every template by default, so you don't have to enable anything. And it has a simple implementation that I show later. This is a link. I will try to provide these slides somehow to the audience, maybe in the community Slack, so they can click this link. This basically points to the source code of REST client, and this is how you use it in this little snippet. It's even simpler than Service Locator, because you don't need to locate the service or anything. You just specify the path to one of our headless APIs, and it will give you the result of calling that API. As simple as that. There's just one call, and from this you can just the data it returns is the JSON representation of the result. So you can query the item. This is the items of the page, but we will see later how you can access all the properties of the objects and everything. Very simple, and exactly the same data that you would get if you perform the same request using a curl or Postman, or you fetch it from JavaScript, whatever you do to communicate with the API, right? So demo time. I prepared a little demo. Let's hope it works well. So I have an empty page in which I'm gonna add some templates, and we will see. So first of all, let's create the template. I'm gonna create a, hold on. I'm gonna do it in the whole. So you see, to create a template, you have to go to Design, Templates, and we're gonna create a widget template for blocks. And for now, I'll leave it empty. Save and continue. And now I'm going to edit the page. And I'm going to add a blocks portlet, widget. Oops, it has some cached content. Hold on 1 second. So I'm going to specify the template that I want to use. Sorry, I forgot to actually save it. I'm going to call it REST client, save the template. And now here if I reload this configuration page, I'm going to specify here that I want to use the REST client template. So now if we refresh, you see that it says to do here, which is the same that I have here. Let's publish the page. And now comes the interesting part. So I'm going to start editing the template. I have here some pre-built template that I'll go through in a moment. So this template that I just pasted is basically using service locator to query the blog entries that we have in the current site, and then it's just rendering a little summary with the title, the user that created it, and I think the headline too. So this is basically the user portrait to display the image. Here we display the link with the URL to the blog entry, and here we display the information about the author. So this is using the old world service locator. I'm going to save it. And let's refresh the page. We see here a couple of blog entries that I created previously, very nicely rendered with service locator. So every time we refresh this page, service locator is fetching this data for us. So as I said, this won't work in the SaaS world, so that's why I have this a small Git repo. What I just pasted there is the first commit. The second commit is the work necessary to transform this template into a REST client template. So we can see here the div. I hope it's displayed correctly. I put the text size as big as I could. And as you can see, I could get rid of a lot of code here regarding, oops, hold on, I just hit the wrong button. Here we go. I could get rid of a lot of code related to a service locator and just one line of REST client with the call to our headless endpoint. I'm going to show you, just in case you don't know, how we can get that information. So we can go to the API Explorer that is bundled with every installation of Liferay. And here we have all the REST applications. All these ones should be supported by REST client. And well, in this case, we're going to introduce headless delivery because that's where blog posting lives. And we're going to use this endpoint, this get sites, site ID blog postings. So basically, if I put here the ID of the site, which I think is 20, this one, and I click execute, I get all those two blog entries. This is the JSON. So this is where we would get the endpoint. So we just have to copy paste this value and prefix it by the name of the application, which in this case is headless delivery. You can see it here, or you can see it here in the drop down. So that's what we use here to call REST client. In this case, headless delivery, as I said, 1.0 sites, blog postings, and we can pass any parameters that we would pass to the original endpoint to sort or to filter or whatever we need. And if we go through the div, we will see that some things we have to change because these were the Java objects from Service Builder, but now we're working with the JSON representation, so some things change. Again, if we go back to the API Explorer and we inspect in that endpoint, this one get, we can see here below the schema of the response, and here we have a schema. We can see the shape of the data that we will get. So for each item, we get a blog posting object, and as you can see here, the user is called creator, and creator has ID and name. So those are the things that I'm using here to replace the old user ID and username from the blog entry service entity. So minor changes, something similar here for the ID, something similar for the headline, and the username. Again, we retrieve it from the creator object. So let me paste this REST client, this template back into the demo. So let's edit this again. As you can see, exactly what I showed you. No, there's no tricks. Save. It's saved. And if now I refresh here, I should see exactly the same. Well, actually, the order changed, but that's because I have it in a different order in the service builder implementation, and I couldn't bother to tweak it. But it's exactly the same output, just in different order. Before this was first, and this is we could easily change that. If we put here desk, we will be ordering by created date, but in the reverse order. So we can fix that here, and now this blog post is first. So that's it. To translate a template from REST client service locator to REST client, very simple. There will be more complex cases, obviously, in reality, but the concept is very simple. We're just changing how we get the data, and the shape of that data will change a little bit, but it's actually quite cool because it matches exactly the shape of the data that you would get here in API Explorer and in the actual REST call. So if you know how to work with one, you know how to work with the other, which I think is quite nice. So something else that I don't know how we are on time. I think we're fine. I wanted to perform a little modification to this template to add a very cool little detail. So and this that I'm going to show is very simple, but it uses many of the concepts that you've seen through this event and that other colleagues from Headless have told you about. And let me show you. So I've prepared, if we go to objects, I've prepared a little object that I'm going to use to model emojis, which is this one, this emoji object that has all the standard fields, but has a code field that will have the emoji code field. And then, it has a relationship that I created with the system object user. So basically, this is a many-to-many relationship that will say every user in the portal can have many emojis, and many emojis can be, and one emoji can be associated to many users in the portal. So let's go to the interface of emojis that I put here under the users application, and let's add some emojis here. I'm going to add a dog, and I'm going to add, for example, a person writing code, and I'm going to add a guitar because I love guitar. And now I'm going to link these emojis to the users. So I go to the, sorry, I'm going too fast. I'm going to the users tab, and here I can relate this custom object to any of the users. So I'm going to say, I'm going to link the guitar to myself, and the man writing code also, I'm going to link it to myself because that's what I do for a living. And I'm going to pick the dog, which I don't know if you know, but it's Olaf's dog. And I'm going to link it to the dog emoji. And what I want to do now is modify the template so that we can see here, beside the name of the user, we can see all the list of the emojis that they have linked to their account. And that's actually pretty simple. You will see I have here the div. It's just 3 lines of code that I'm going to pick, and I'm going to come to the original template. Beside the name of the user, I'm going to paste it. Hold on. I think it's not properly pasted. Let me pick the whole, because I think I copied it wrong from the terminal. So I'll replace the whole. 1 second. This one. There you go. Okay, so this is exactly the same template as before, and I added these 3 little lines here, which are actually going to the headless admin user API for that the user account of the creator of the blog, and it's using the emojis endpoint that has been automatically generated when we created the relationship between user and emoji. And this my colleagues from the headless team told you about yesterday. This is a dynamic endpoint that is only generated when you actually create the relationship. So it has the name that I put in the user interface. I had to write no code at all, and I have this nice endpoint here that will basically list all the emojis related to this user. It will store it in an emoji variable, and I will just display the emoji code, which is the character that that represents the emoji. So let's save, and let's refresh the page. And if you see, now we have this little detail here. Fiat, Olaf's dog has its emoji dog, and I have my emoji computer and guitar, which are my biggest passions. And that's the demo. Let's go back to my slides. I'm glad nothing crashed, so I can remove this icon from here. And just a last slide to talk a little bit about the limitations of REST client, because it's not as powerful as a service locator. One thing I didn't say why we use REST client is obviously because of the ergonomics. It's easier to use because if you use the headless APIs, you will know how to use REST client, but also because of its security benefit. So every API is scoped to the company and is checking all the permissions. You don't have access to local services or anything. So using REST client will apply the same permissions that the original user has that is making the request. So you don't need to worry about that. If you have permissions to perform a call, it will work. Otherwise, it will fail. So that's why we went for REST client, that I forgot to mention it. And the limitations, I have a couple of them listed here. You only have access to headless APIs by definition, which is good on one side, but maybe there are data that you get from Liferay in other forms that is not available through the headless API, so you wouldn't have access to that data through REST client. Only access to headless APIs. And only access to get methods, because we believe that making a post from a template is not a good idea, and we decided just to go for get methods for now. So as you saw in the in how we use REST client, you don't specify, well, you specify the name of the method here, .get, but there is not a .post method. You just have REST client.get, you pass the URL, and we'll do the get for you. So those are the, I think, the biggest limitations. And the alternatives, I think, well, now in modern web development, probably the most recommended thing is, instead of doing the server-side rendering using the template, just use client-side fetching plus rendering with JavaScript and the fetch API. So you can call the same REST APIs and render the data from React or Vue or whatever framework you use, or plain JavaScript. So that could be an alternative. Like, you don't need to migrate from Service Locator to REST client. You can just migrate from Service Locator to client-side rendering. But we provide REST client to simplify a little bit that migration process. That's it. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Now you can let your templates rest in peace.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Alex, for your presentation. That's very good news, both for the SaaS world, but also I guess for everyone upgrading from any version to 7.4. So you said 49, right?
Yeah.
So at least 49. So we can get rid of those service locators and get good REST client things in the templates. And so about the client-side rendering, you were talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we can use like the Liferay.js object.
Yeah.
And under util, we should find a fetch, which also can do post, right? So the naming can be confusing, but we can do any methods here. And it's also abstracting the security, right? So when you're logged in and you use a Liferay util.js method for REST APIs, it passes permissions and the profile and roles you're in as a logged in user.
Yeah, exactly. But that happens in the client side. So
yeah,
the REST client variable that we've introduced in templates, everything happens in the server side. And just one thing, Luis, I forgot to show the code. If you give me a couple more minutes,
yeah, sure.
I can screen share again because I forgot. It's simple. You will see it won't take more than 2 minutes. I have it here. So basically, we are injecting the REST client variable into a template context contributor. These are components that spin up for every template and will run this prepare method for them, and you can inject the variables that you want. So we have one contributor for the global context, which means that it will be available everywhere. And we are injecting the REST client, which is this little class here that is doing a very simple thing. You can see it's just like 10, 14 lines of code, is getting basically is forwarding the request to the headless API servlet via this call to request dispatcher. We're getting the servlet context and then the request dispatcher and redirecting to the path, to the path we set in the get call of the REST client. And we're calling the forward method and converting the response. We're serializing it to a format compatible with templates, so that you can use that nice syntax I show you with dots, like blog entry dot creator dot id. So that's thanks to this line that will parse the JSON and turn it into a structure that the templates can use. We have these little tricks here with request and response, because we have to force the get method, for example. Here we force the get method, and we specify some headers to make sure the language you're using when rendering the page is the same language that will be used for the headless call. But all this is happening within the same context of the request. So it's not spinning up another full HTTP request. It's just forwarding the current request and adjusting some parameters. So this is the code right now. Very simple, as I said, and it's on the slides that I will share later, so you will be able to see the link. And that's it. Sorry that I forgot to do that.
No problem. That's very interesting approach. So that's good to know that we have these capabilities for templates and server-side rendering. I think we, as you mentioned, we need ready to put that in light. Like there's a server-side rendering, client-side rendering. Use client-side when you don't have the choice, but server-side will save a lot of issues for end users. So it's a consideration to have in mind. And so shout out to you and the team for bringing that. Shout out to you for presenting that. And as Olaf said, shout out to a cat person to use a dog cameo. So he's pretty happy to see Fit in that duo.
Cool. Thank you.
So thanks for being here. And I guess you'll be around if there's any question about that. Again, there's a Slack channel for more questions.
I'll have a look.
Yeah. Thanks again, Alex, and have a nice day.
Bye-bye, you too.
Okay, we are right on time for our next speakers. That's if you were here yesterday, you might have seen them. And if I see Tibor and Petri in the audience, if you can step in or on stage, we can move to your presentation. Hi again, guys.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice.
Can hear you. I can see you. Hope you're doing fine today. So more presentations from you. That's great because there's so many things to leverage on with search. And I hope that the audience is like me, eager to learn more about what you can customize. And one of the big things we had in search are blueprints, and there's a lot of options we can customize directly from the control panel instead of inject some custom configuration directly to Elastic. And that's great news because there's larger audience that can customize the behavior and take business cases into consideration when it comes to search and to results. And so now I'll let you the stage to talk more about that and what we can find in the Liferay Enterprise Search Experiences. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone again. I'm Tibor Lipus. I'm the product manager in search at Liferay, and we also have Battery from the search team with us. He's a senior software engineer and also a consultant, and most importantly, the creator of the foundations for search blueprints. So if you will see him around, even if he's trying to run fast around the world, you can grab him, you can grab us, and we can continue discussing topics about search. And as I told yesterday, this is the third of the sessions we planned around enhancements and new features we introduced recently or not so recently in the search domain. And blueprints is also going to be related to the last topic later today about in semantic search. So we believe that this is a good occasion to revisit some of the features or the most important highlights of search blueprints, even though it's available for 7.4, DXP 7.4 almost a year, and also for 7.3 since this summer. And in these 20 or 30 minutes, we will focus on some key activities you can use this low code, no code feature of Liferay DXP to customize the search query. And before starting right away with blueprints, I wanted to start from something like the bottom up to build the relationship between what most people are probably familiar with when it comes to search or customizing search, or at least understanding what happens when you type something into the search bar. So let me share my screen. Just 1 second. And please confirm that you see my Liferay DXP page. Cool. Okay, so this is again a very simple site. I have a few web content articles representing museums from Budapest, Hungary. I have ingested just to have some content, and they also have some geolocation data indexed, which will be relevant for this demonstration later. So it's just 20 articles, nothing more, but it's enough to showcase a few things. So that's what I have in regards as data. And yeah, let's start with the initial thing. So this is the search bar. We have the results, and then something happens between when you type your keywords into the search bar and you get back the results. And if we take the technical side, what happens? One really convenient way to see what's going on when you are searching is if you are an admin, you can use the Search Insights widget. If you place it on a page and then you refresh, then you will get the request and the response we are generating and sending to Elasticsearch. And like Search Insights has a lot of places when it can come in handy, like troubleshooting, investigation, or just when you are building something and you want to verify or whether your application is generating the query you built for Liferay XP. For this session, I just wanted to use it as a starting point to understand what's inside the search request. And let me copy this so I can show you in a more easier to digest format. Yeah, so let's see the sections first. Okay, so what we see is the usual search request fields we are sending to Elasticsearch. And of course, the most important part resides under the query section, which is basically telling the search engine which fields we are searching in and how we are searching in those fields. If you are on a search page, you are most likely to see the aggregations, which is representing our facets. Just a side note, the search facets we have in Liferay out of the box, they are using the term bucket aggregations of Elasticsearch. So this is why you see the aggregations appearing here. Of course, if we want to highlight the results, I mean the snippets, then we have to tell Elasticsearch how we want to highlight and send the configuration. We are setting for the size for pagination and so on. So this is basically standard like the Elasticsearch API, the search request. And if you open the query part, depending on like where you are searching from, like a search bar, or it's another kind of index-based search in the control panel or other applications, the query block may look different, but at least it will have sections. Most probably it will have a giant Boolean query with filter, must not, and should clauses. And if you are familiar at least with Liferay search framework, or you heard about indexers or query contributors since 7.4, you may know that when you search for something, if you have content, or we have different content in Liferay, like web content, articles, blogs, documents, and media, and so on. And if they are having an indexer, then they will also contribute certain blocks, or as it's called, like clauses, to this giant Boolean query. And if you are searching for a single type, then your query may look smaller, but out of the box in search bar, we are searching in, I think, all enabled, indexer enabled types. So it's quite long list to have. The point is that the filter, the must, the should, and other blocks are telling basically how we are searching. For example, we're searching in a comments field using the match phrase query type of Elasticsearch, and this is the keyword we are sending. And if you expand this JSON more and more, you will realize that we are searching a lot of fields, and there is a certain logic or Boolean logic between how these fields are considered when it comes to scoring the results. Because out of the box, when you search in the search bar, what you see as results, they are ordered by the relevance or score in Elasticsearch. So that's one thing I wanted to start with. So we have the results, we have the search request, and I wanted to ask, and maybe just an open question is, if someone wanted to customize how this query is being built, so the search query, or even other configurations of the search query, what options did we have in the past? So before search blueprints to customize. And I think the usual answer is that, okay, we are writing a custom indexer post processor, or even we are writing our own modules, complete OSGI modules. to use the Java Liferay Search APIs to build our own queries. And basically, we are building our own search application. And while it's still possible, of course, it has limitations, and it increases the cost and effort it takes to even make tiny customizations to the search, because not everyone wants to completely override the search query. So there are different levels of customizing search. For example, someone just wants to boost certain types, and that's it. Others want to exclude other types, or maybe they want to exclude documents with certain extensions. Maybe others would like to have search results being more dynamic, more context aware. Meaning, for example, we want to boost based on the location of the user, or other dynamic attributes like the display locale, so the language, maybe the time zone. And there are other cases when people want to completely turn off or would like to get rid of certain blocks or clauses of this giant query. So they really would like to go advanced and customize search heavily. And the more you going down this level of complexity, the most likely you will need to write, or you needed to write, custom Java application and OSGI module and deploy it and maintain for Liferay DXP. And this is where search blueprints comes in handy, because with search blueprints, basically we can help organizations, and this feature can help organizations in different ways. One thing is that we are providing out-of-the-box building blocks to customize the search query using a visual query builder. So instead of writing code, you can just drag and drop these building blocks onto your search query design plan, what we are calling the blueprint. And then you can configure different attributes of these building blocks, and that's it. We're also providing, through search blueprints, configuration options to influence some other attributes of the query or the search request. Remember the sections like the highlight, the sort, for example, the sort configuration. So you can also influence that using configuration instead of deploying a custom code. The second thing is there are developers and projects with people who are having experience in Elasticsearch. So instead of using Liferay's Java API, they are more familiar with Elasticsearch query DSL, the search request, and the JSON. So they, for example, using Kibana to build the search query, and then they would like to use the query they built, but again, without deploying a custom OSGI module. And we also support that through search blueprints, because we are providing a way, and I will show that. So you can copy paste your Elasticsearch query into this special building block we are calling the paste any Elasticsearch query element, and then you can run it. So instead of relying on the building, the clauses the Liferay index framework is generating, you have the ability to go full advanced and write your own Elasticsearch query. Of course, the more you go back to the Elasticsearch query DSL, the more you have to understand how it works. But still, that's possible. So we are not removing this. And the third thing is, if the out-of-the-box building blocks are not enough, and the paste any Elasticsearch query building block is not enough, you can create custom building blocks, so custom elements for your search blueprint, and use it and share it, because everything when it comes to search blueprints is JSON driven. So they can be exported, they can be imported back to the environment, and there is a schema behind a blueprint. And so as a sort of introduction or a highlight, this is what I wanted to start with. And then let's see a few things about blueprints in action. If you're running, again, 7.4 update 5, then you should be finding blueprints under the applications menu and search experiences. And blueprints are, in terms of database, they are tied to the virtual instance they belong to. So if you have a multi-tenant setup with multiple virtual instances, then they can have different blueprints and without conflicts. So we have the blueprints and the elements tabs. Elements are basically representing clauses in the search query. And we have a good amount of out-of-the-box elements provided. So we obviously are not able to cover all use cases, but they are good as a starting point sometime to use them, or maybe just see how they are created, what query they are contributing, and then you can use them as a base to create your own, like copying the system elements. But before going like anything advanced, let's just start with creating a simple blueprint where, so by default, an element is like an empty canvas. So you don't necessarily need to customize anything on top of what Liferay's Indexer framework is contributing out of the box. So if you just create an empty blueprint, and I'm just saying empty is not entirely empty, is just not customized additionally. So if you just create a blueprint and do nothing else, and so you leave everything on the default and you save it, you have just replicated the out-of-the-box search query. So if you go back to the page, and then we have a widget, the blueprints options widget, to apply a blueprint to a page. So you can select the blueprint you just created, and you repeat your search. It's still providing the very same results we had because we haven't customized this. So basically, it's just telling the framework, the way it was built, that we are using a blueprint, and the blueprint comes with, let's call them reasonable defaults. Reasonable defaults like what types are searched. And then let's go back to the blueprints. So as you can see, here we are searching all searchable types, but you have a way to limit to, for example, web content article. And if you're familiar with, for example, the search facets, you know that we have the type facet where you can also configure and exclude certain types from being searched. And in Blueprint, you can also do the same right from the single location, and then it's part of the JSON as it's saved. And then let's limit our search to web content articles, and we can save it and we can go back to the site. But as I mentioned, I only have web content articles on this site, so it's not really changing. It's just something I wanted to show. And you can export the blueprint, and as I mentioned, this will create a JSON you can download. And let's just use it for a second, and then I will just use again the JSON formatter. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the blueprint represented as a JSON, and it has, according to the schema, certain configuration options. And so we can influence the highlight, we can influence aggregations, some advanced configurations, sort, query, and so on. I will show this also on the screen. The point is that it's represented as a JSON. You can import and then export to another environment. So right now, this is nothing extra, but out-of-the-box search. We have on the right side the query elements sidebar, categorized the elements to around certain areas. Like we have a good amount of elements helping people to boost the results based on various factors. We providing elements which are meant to influence directly the filter block of the query, using again different attributes. So if you want to, for example, limit to only search documents with PDF files, we have an out-of-the-box element, which is, if we inspect what it does using this JSON representation, then we can see that it is adding a term query to Elasticsearch on a field MIME type with application PDF. And this is also telling the enhancer framework that this close block should be added under the filter part. Yeah, let's skip this one and see what happens, at least what happens with the search request JSON we are sending to Elasticsearch just by adding a new element on top of the out-of-the-box clauses. Yeah, so let's go back to the search page. Repeat the search. Of course, I'm not getting any results because I'm filtering and I only want to see PDF files and I don't have any documents. So that's expected. What I wanted to show is what's changing in the request. Okay, again, the query part, which we are interested in. And then let me just should be seeing here. Let me take. It's hard a little bit to navigate around, but we should see this here represented. So this is basically what we added on top of what's already in the filter block by default, right? So this is contributed to the filter block. And let's do another quick test. I'm removing this element and I will just add another one. I want to boost content if they having this tag. Like I'm very creative, so I'm using the tag name as the tag. I'm saving it. So basically I want to boost my results if they having this tag, and whatever, let's boost them with heavily. And then, okay, query just web content articles. Let's see. This time I won't go back to the search page because we also have a preview right on the query builder. You can use to test your search. Okay, so we can see some results based on, and right now I think I don't have, but let me check if I have any elements. Sorry, not elements, but content, like the first one. Okay, so let's remove this tag. So I right now I don't have any web content articles with this tag, and I refresh my results, so I see obviously a different set. And if I enable or add back the tag on my article, let's go back to here, publish. Okay, it should be there. Let's repeat the search, and it's working. But if I disable just for my search and preview, then I'm getting back the original results. So you can toggle off and on the elements already added to your canvas and your blueprint when you are building it. So you can see another feature you can see or you can find on the blueprints builder is that you can view the response just like in the search insights. So if you click on it, it will open, and then you can inspect the results and see how they are returned. And we also have the same for the requesting the the search for viewing the raw search request. And yeah, sometimes we have unfortunately a bug on some browsers or versions where it might take some time to open the raw request, but not every time. We are investigating this, so it will be fixed soon. And what I wanted to show here is basically this part. Is you see something which is not part of the query out of the box, the wrapper query. This is a special Elasticsearch query type we are using to contributing extra clauses to the search. This is the base 64 representation of the query. So I can just use this, and I should have here, yeah, the code. So hopefully you still see my screen. Let me just zoom in. So this is what we told Elasticsearch. We searching in the asset tag names.row field, this value, and we're giving the boost. That's what we are contributing to the search request just by adding this element. So there are many other elements you can use. Something what I also wanted to highlight is that we have the configuration panel. Remember, we have certain sections on the search request we are sending to Elasticsearch. Remember, we have aggregation, we have highlight, we can provide sort configurations. So we provide those, we expose those right from the blueprint builder. You can contribute, so you can configure those and they will be contributed to the search request. In my example, for example, we can also influence some we call advanced parts of the search request. For example, by default, when you're searching in the preview, we're not getting the source from Elasticsearch back. The source is basically what Elasticsearch received as an input, the document. But if we specify this to Elasticsearch, we are getting back the all fields, I mean the source. And again, if we go back to the preview, we can also expand the documents and see what fields are indexed, what is the value inside those fields. So in the preview, you can pretty much get what you are able to get on a search page using the search insights and the document form result display in a single place, which hopefully will help people to build the right query easier without going back and forth the search page and blueprints. Another or maybe last thing I wanted to mention is that we have some special elements which require extra services, but they can also help to build dynamic context-aware searches. For example, in order to boost by proximity location, we need a service which resolves the IP address of the user to geolocation's longitude and latitude values, and then it can be added to the search. And we have a boost proximity field, element, which is helping with this. And in order to use boost proximity, as I mentioned, we need an external service. We have integration with IP stack, which is resolving the IP address to geolocation coordinates we can use in the search request. It requires an API key, so I will just configure it on my other screen, so I'm not exposing my API key. Just a second, and then of course you need to enable it. And yeah, it should be enabled right now. And if I go back to the preview and repeat the search, yeah, sure. First thing, you need to specify a field, a geolocation field. And I have an expando geolocation. Let me find this one. So you need to search on geolocation type field, of course. And the first thing is, right now, because I'm a local host, my IP address cannot be really resolved. So we have to tell when testing, consist IP.address, and I have my ISP provided value. Okay, and then we also have, let's.
Tibor, you were missing one D in search.experiences.ip.address.
Yeah, I frequently made this. Thank you. Okay, so right now we are doing something which is trying to boost by proximity, but we haven't changed anything when it comes to the configuration. And because I have museums ingested from the Budapest area, like 50 kilometers using Google Places data, and they have the geolocation field. My location in Budapest is resolved something like here, which is not entirely true, but the point is that according to the service, this is where I am right now. So this is where things starts as the central point, and then we are using in the boost proximity score query or function score in Elasticsearch. So we have to configure basically that what should be the scale within we are treating results with the same boost, and then what should be the decay when they are trying to be further from this area. So this is what you can configure using the boost location, boost proximity. And I already have one set up, so I will just switch to that. So I have the same field, and then I want to, my scale is just 5 kilometers because I don't want to be too big because it's only 50 kilometers of data I have, and I'm giving a 50 as the boost. And again, I'm going to the search.experiences. And then let's give the value again, my IP address, and right now I'm checking if I haven't made any mistakes, and just repeat the search. And yeah, so by boosting based on the proximity and providing my IP address, if I disable the element, I get the history museum, which is, I can show you that it's directions, history museum. So it's like 12 kilometers from my location. But if I go back to and enable the boost proximity and repeat, then the Ludwig Museum, it should be, yeah, it's just 7 kilometers away from me. So it's just, again, just a very simple demonstration of using the boost proximity feature and the IP stack service provider. The point is that with blueprints, you can influence the search query in many different ways. You can build your own query if you want, and you can create your own elements and even share them. And we are planning on to start sharing more elements on top of the out-of-the-box ones, or even blueprints using our solutions marketplace. And also in our documentation, we would like to cover more use cases. Yeah, so I think this is what I wanted to share about blueprints. Not sure if you have any questions.
Well, first, thanks a lot about the presentation. And I'm talking about documentation. I'm glad that we've seen through, the blueprints a lot of learn more about this. So obvious links to documentation, because there's a lot of elements that is covered by blueprints and a lot to learn. So we might be easily lost, I would say, if we didn't have those links. So shout out to the team for bringing that. Shout out to you and Petri and other search team for so much improvements when it comes to search. And I have a question regarding blueprints and ranking results. So how does that interact together if I'm building blueprints that I would apply on a site and then I want to rank results? How does that interact together?
Maybe Petr, do you want to respond on that?
Okay, so I'm not sure I understood the question correctly. Can you please repeat?
If you're, for example, if I'm doing a specific rule with the blueprints as demonstrated, and I'm adding some boosts, and then I go to the ranking results, and I'm doing a search, should I see the boosting or not? And if I change the result in the ranking manually between results, how does that interact with the rules I built in the blueprint?
So the question is whether result rankings talk to blueprints, and vice versa. Yeah, so that bridge we don't have yet, so it's under development. So I hope we will be able to deliver that at some point.
Okay.
Exactly. So scoping to a site or scoping to a blueprint, the ranking entry is something we have planned. Actually, it's already designed, so it's on the roadmap. But right now, it's not there. But like any feedback and any demand for that can, of course, help to prioritize the development.
Okay, so I understand that it's kind of the next step because if I followed correctly the evolution on search, we got the ranking results and synonyms before getting the blueprints. So there's I feel a simpler approach when it comes to ranking results. Like you play your query through a keyword, and then you manually change the results where you have more complexity in blueprints, and now we have to get those two words kind of together with scopes.
So maybe one thing to mention is that, of course, it's possible to replicate the functionality of result rankings in a blueprint, although it's far more complex, but it's still possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's, I think, also important to mention that result ranking is for curating the results, and blueprints is to build the underlying search query. And even though, yes, technically you could build a query which is replicating what rankings can do, but yeah, it's far more work because it's not a drag and drop and configuration, but you need to write the actual query, what ranking is producing under the hood.
So you need to find some logic that comes from you manually changing the results to find an automated way to say, okay, so those tags are boosted and that query runs with how I rank the results manually. We have a question regarding the blueprints. Is it only available for the XP?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess that's the case for ranking results and synonyms.
Yes, those are also DXP only.
Okay, so that answers the question. And so if you want to try this out easily and quickly, remember that we have official Docker images for trials locally, so you can play with it and see what's going on with blueprints.
Exactly. Thanks for mentioning that. It's also important that, with 7.4 DXP images, Docker images, or the bundles, but I think I recommend the Docker images. You can start using it, and then if you have questions, if you have, for example, DXP access already and subscription, you can talk to support, and we would also like to learn from those use cases, because that's also a way to see where we should go. Because it provides a lot of options, a lot of possibilities, but actually use cases can help us to understand more what we should, for example, massage further, or maybe we can deprioritize. So those questions on the community Slack can also be helpful, and please keep them posted. And as I mentioned on Solutions Marketplace, if there will be new blueprints available, I think that's also a way to learn how to use it, so it becomes more closer to an actual solution, and you don't need to build everything from scratch. And the others can also share their blueprints and elements.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks again, guys, for being here today and sharing so much knowledge about search. That's awesome, and people in the audience, don't hesitate to reach out to them. Try to run faster than Perry to get him and get some answers. And as always, you can stay in the Slack community channel and put your questions down, and we'll get back to you with some answers. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you later for another topic about search.
See you. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Welcome back, Olaf.
Hello, thank you. I have been wondering, should I ask them to help me searching? Because I've been trying to print something, and I am sure that I have bought extra print cartridges. I cannot find them. But I need to print in blue.
Like the background.
Yes. So, bummer. Not going to happen, so it will be black and white prints. Anyway.
Quite interesting presentations so far. I think yet again we continued with this new world of moving to something more decoupled, like we had with templates, the REST clients, also more things about site initializers that we saw yesterday. More integration also with payment methods and the payment ecosystem in India specifically, and see how we can interact with that. So that's awesome, and I can't wait to see how we can move, to the client extensions when it comes to those kind of integrations. Because we talked about payment, of course. I mentioned commerce. Commerce has a lot of extension points that we can leverage on. And obviously, the future will be client extensions. So that will be very interesting to see in the future. And obviously, as we saw, we had a lot of search topics, and there's a lot of improvement in search and a lot to explore. I don't know how much you explored into blueprints, Olaf, but I did a little. I was a bit overwhelmed, and I need a lot to learn about that.
That sums up my experience. I did a little, and I need to do a lot, and I have learned a lot already. And I'm just seeing that I could improve the blue here by switching on the light.
Yeah, but that's interesting topics, especially with geolocation. See, those functions there is in Elasticsearch, and how we can directly use them in Liferay. Like we don't have to go down deep, dive in JSON files that we need to deploy somewhere directly from the control panel. So that's awesome.
Absolutely, yes.
I think it's time for a break, right?
It is, yes.
I'm starving, I have to say, and thirsty.
Yeah, I have my coffee here already. You might not have because you have had stage duty until now.
Yep.
You will have stage duty later on, but in a different position.
Yeah, on stage, but I will switch side
Yes.
with my avatar. So to make clear that I'm not hosting, but I will be presenting.
Yep. And after the break, we will see a lot more. Petteri and Tibor will have another appearance together. Yep. So that is there, but not right after the break. Well, basically, you can see the agenda for yourself. We have Redis coming up with Mariano. We have yourself, Tibor and Petteri again, and then we have Mateus and Guillermo to come up with more. That's after the break, and the break is until, let me check.
The duration of the break is 2 hours, whatever the time zone is.
Yes, indeed. We'll see each other in 2 hours, but don't make the same mistake that I always do, which is after a while, I do remember that we will meet again in 2 hours, but starting from when? So, take a look at the clock now to see what your local time is and recognize what your time is to continue. It will be just before 4 o'clock UTC in the afternoon. And then you do the math for your own time zone.
There's also a website that does the time converter. So
indeed, yes. And now, well, that concludes this session. Now let's do the risky business, and I will step from stage, and we will see if the stream continues or not. So everything is over now, and if the stream stops, then go into your break. If the stream doesn't stop, still go into your break. Pick any pavilion, any place outside. If you want to talk to anyone, just stand close to someone, stay here, or well, whatever you want to do, whatever you fancy to do in your time. So let's see. My avatar has started the stream, and I'm going to check if it's going to continue for a while.
Enjoy the break.
Have a good break.
See you in a while.
Well, and there's the test. Apparently,
it's still up.
Continues to run as long as, at least as long as somebody is on stage.
Oh, that might be that.
So then I'll bring on my my streamer for the next time.
Hi,
Andreas, you are live. You are on YouTube right now.
okay.
And I'm still going to stop the stream manually now, as I can't step from stage. I'll need to find it. And goodbye. 3, 2, 1. Do you really want to? So again, 3, 2, 1.